All right, let's do the catalog. The catalog is a very simplistic e-com site. So you can see you know enough already to build an e-com site, at least one that doesn't have a back end. And later on, we'll turn this into we'll give it a back end. But the main things about this, we got a header with about and catalog things. We've got a catalog page that lists all the products. And you click a product and you get the details page. And if you click add to cart, you get a message that says you're adding it to the cart and you navigate back to the details or to the catalog. Okay. So that's the main things in this solution. So it functionally is very, very similar to what we did in the React multiple pages exercise. It's got a main page with some cards in it. You click a card, you get to the details page, and then there's a back button. So that's really all there is. And then there's a little button there that pops up a thing. So it's very, very similar. One of the easy ways to do this exercise is to just make a copy of React multiple pages and modify it to fit this data and so on. But that's not, I'll actually do some implementation from scratch for you, so you'll see how it goes. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one, though, is I'm trying to mimic how you would actually build this product as a full stack application with a real back end. And so in order to display the catalog, you want to make an asynchronous call that returns all of the catalog items. In a full stack application, that asynchronous call would go over the network, over the internet, to a backend, which would read the data from a database and then return the data to you. So to mimic that, I created for you a function called read catalog, which will return all of the product items, all the products. Okay, so you're supposed to use that call in the same way that you would use it in a full stack app. And which would be using
and use effect.
In a use effect. You're going to make those you're going to make those back-end calls in a use effect. And then in the product, so when you go to the product details, the catalog was in the catalog page, and the product details page is not a child of the catalog page, so it doesn't have access to that product. So instead, you have to read the product again from the database, okay? And so I gave you another asynchronous function called read product. You pass it a product ID, and it returns the product from you. And again, this is how it would be in a full stack app. When you get to the detailed page will have a
ID.
And it will use effect in order to make that call to the back end. So it's the same thing. All right.
So it's calling the same backend basically,
Yes,
but it's calling on the ID. It's calling for the ID instead of the full product.
Yes, two different endpoints.
Two different endpoints.
So one case you would call the endpoint that returns the entire list of products. And the other one you would call an endpoint that returns just a single product.
That's why you used find in the read
Yeah.
item.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's basically what we're going to do here. So any questions on this before I start doing the implementation? Okay, here we go. Now what I did, again, because I don't want to take the time to do the entire application for you, I basically so when I did this myself and wrote this myself, the original time wrote the solution, I just copied React multiple pages like I told you and just modified it. But here I'm just starting from the instructor solution. So it's basically a copy and modify of the original of the React multiple pages exercise. So, I took not found and header and all those things. I won't bother showing you those because they're just not that important. I do want to point out, though, that something people often forget is remember to go into main TSX and put your browser router around your app. So that's a requirement. So I did pop that one up, but again, that's the same thing we did before. All right, so let's start from here. Let me get it running.
Mhm.
Run dev, open, and there we have, and I just see up in the upper left, way upper left corner, it says app. So there we go. So the first thing we want to do is we've identified what pages we need. So let's take a look quickly. What pages do we need? This again, when you do a React app, this is one of the first things you're going to do is identify your pages. What pages do you need?
Need a main catalog
We need
page.
a catalog page. We need an about page. We want a not found page, and we need a
Product detail.
details page. So there's 4 pages we're going to want. And we're going to have a header.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's put the routes together that do that for us. Usually what I would do if I were doing this completely from scratch is I would figure that out. I'd write my routes. I'd put my elements in, and then I would either just put a div there as a placeholder, or I would actually put the name of the component I want it to be and go make a component there, and all it has in it is a div. So I can just kind of get the structure of my code out.
So this
Okay.
is even prior to the layout in CSS, we will first.
Well, I've
determine-
already gone through the layout. I figured out the layout of the entire application. So there's 2, you're right. This is actually before. This is before I get to the layout and all that stuff that we go through those 3 phases. I do this phase first, which is figuring out what my pages are. Okay, so figure out my pages and do the routes. Here, I'm just gonna just
No,
start going. I'm gonna do routes and routes, and inside I'm gonna have a route
Mhm.
and a route. And then inside of here, I'm gonna have, we said there were 4 pages, so I'm gonna do that 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 of them there, okay? And remember, I did routes.
no,
I need to put my parentheses around here so that it recognizes that this is JSX. There we go, okay? So,
Oh, how did you do that? How did you put the parentheses?
if you select something and type the left paren, it puts it in both places. That works for parentheses, curly braces, square brackets, quote marks, backticks, quite a few of them. Okay. Doesn't work for the angle brackets though, unfortunately. All right, so now I did this outer one here. What's the purpose of this outer one going to be?
Is it,
It's wrapping the main parent, the header.
This is gonna be,
Okay.
this is the nav bar. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
the header.
fixed.
Yep, I call it header in this. So exactly. So here I have a route. Path equals for that outer one, I do slash for my header. And I say element equals, and in curly braces, I'm going to render the header.
Here's a question.
Yeah,
So if I wanna put another thing is fixed, I can put it outside, right? If I want like to add another bar for like for.
you could. I wouldn't suggest that. I would suggest that in your app, in your routes, you just put routes and that's all. And the rest of it, if you want something else fixed it there, put it in the header class. Okay. I mean, you can put it there, it will actually work. But I suggest that your structure will be better and easier to modify and work with. If you have stuff that you want to be on the all pages up at the top, put it in the header.
Even
Okay.
if it's,
Even if it's not a header, even if it's something, you know, you have a header and then underneath it you say, welcome to my great site. And then underneath that you have your page content. Then put that in the header. That's what I would recommend. It'll work better for you.
and then line 12 to line 15, it's pretty much the outline.
Yeah, these are the routes. These are the pages. So I have my main page, which I call index,
Mhm.
is going to be
Catalog.
the catalog. And again, remember, most of the time, these pages that you're putting in here, they don't take parameters. So you just put them in here like this. Path equals, what's another one that I said? We want the details. Let me put details. Now I know the details page is going to display a single product, so I have to know its product ID. So I'm going to use the segment here, colon, the path segment, colon, product ID. And then the element is going to be, is it product details? Okay, like that.
So, excuse me, just a question. So in fact, what I did, I used product details similar to the name of the.
It doesn't matter, they're independent. The path can be anything you want. I can call it foo, I can call it details, I can call it product details. The path has no relationship to the name of this, none at all. Okay, it's just an arbitrary word, it's an arbitrary path that I put in there, so I just called it details. I could call it product, I could call it whatever I wish. It really doesn't matter. Okay, and then I can have an about. And the element equals the about page. And then what was the last one? Oh, the not found. Okay, so I've got my routes going. Yay! Let's take a look at it. Here we go. So good, I got my catalog at slash. I click the about. Whoops, click. And the about page is already working because I just copied the code over. Okay. Catalog there, and I'll just put in some junk. See if I get my not found page there. That's correct. Return to the catalog. Awesome. And then slash details slash whatever 95. Okay. And then I get my product details page. So my routing is working. Okay, so this is what I do. I go and make sure my routing is working. Now we get to go work on a page at a time. The catalog is probably the best. I just want to do the catalog and the product details page. So I'll start with the catalog. So what's the catalog page going to look like?
It's going to display multiple items.
It's going to display multiple items. There's an H1 here. Because if you look at here, I put the word catalog up at the top. Not really necessary, but the design, we put it there for fun. I think I'm going to put a div around it so I can put a bunch of other stuff underneath the catalog. I'm going to put my map. Is there an HR? Oh yeah, there is an HR. Okay. HR. Whoops.
That's under the div. Fine.
Is that what it, well, it looks like it's under the word catalog. For some reason, it's not showing up on here.
But you're on the product details page.
Oh, thank you. Catalog. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay. Then I'm going to put all of my products. So I'm going to map it. I'm going to map. Oh, I have to map through my products. I don't have any products yet. I can't. So I want to say products.map and map through them, but I can't do that yet. So let me just comment this out for now. Whoa. Comment that out for now. So how do I get my products? I have to read them from the database or from my, asynchronously. To read something asynchronously, I can't read them asynchronously directly in the code. I have to do it in a use effect. Okay. And the reason is because I can't make this thing asynchronous and have it still be a component. So since I want to do some asynchronous work, I do a use effect. So in order to do a use effect, to read the stuff, it's going to be doing a read. It might take a while. So I need to put up a loading indicator to show that it's working. So I need an is loading state. If there's an error making the read, I have to be able to display an error. So I want error state. And when I'm done reading, I get my products. So I'm going to want product state. So that tells me the 3 states that I'm going to need. So const, and basically every time you do this read in a use effect, you're going to put these 3 states in it. So products, set products equals use state. And it's going to be a
Product.
an array of products. And the default value will be just be an empty array. Okay. Then I'm going to have is loading, set is loading equals use state true. So I'm going to start out loading. The very first thing I'm going to do is load. So I want to put the loading message. Okay, then the next one is my error. Set error equals use state
Type unknown.
unknown, because we don't know what types of, because in the error in a catch block is TypeScript tells us it's a type unknown. That's just life, unfortunate as it is. Now, if I'm loading, if we're still loading, then I want to put up a loading message. Return some div that says loading. Now, in a real application, you'd put a spinner or something, or do something a little more nice than just putting this silly thing with yes, something instead of just this. But for now, for this purpose, I'm just doing that. And if there's an error, I'm going to want to display the error. So I'm going to return a div that says error. And I'm going to put the error message in here. Error.message. Okay. Now, unfortunately, TypeScript doesn't know that it's going to have error is an unknown type. So I have to tell TypeScript that it's an error.
It's an instance of error, right?
It's an instance of error, and unfortunately, not all exceptions are instances of error. So I'm going to check if it really is. So I say error, instance of error, uppercase error. Then I'm going to display the message. Else I'm going to say, I have no idea what it is I got. I think I'll just do string of error. How's that? I don't know. You can do whatever you. I did it differently in the other ones. I put the message that says unknown error, but whatever you'd like. Okay. Let's see. Now I've got that much done. Now I need to do my use effect. So all your hook calls have to happen. I can't put a hook call down here because it can't come after the if statements. I'll show you what happens if I try to do it. Let me put it down here. Use effect. And my dependency array, here we go. I get an error. Uh-oh. React hook use effect is called conditionally. What that means is that I didn't call it in the same time, the same order every single time, which you're required to do with hooks. And so this hook has to happen before these if statements. It has to happen up here. So you always do all your hook calls right up at the top before you do anything else. Yeah.
Is it probably like for me, there's another reason the use effect, because we want to get all the data first. Then if it's we don't have anything still loaded. If it's error, I'm going to show you error.
It really doesn't matter. Is loading will still be true. And it will return this, and it'll say it's loading. And because it's, I haven't called use effect yet, so the use effect will never run. So that's a good argument for why it has to happen there. I always just think, okay, it's a hook, has to go up at the top. So I'm going to put it at the top since it's a hook. Okay. Now inside here, I'm making an asynchronous call to my data provider. And so to make an asynchronous call, I have to declare an async function. And doesn't matter, I'll call it load. And now let's write the code. I'm going to make an await call, so I need to have a try catch.
Try to
catch error, and finally. Okay, I usually want to do a try catch finally, and then after I've declared this function, I want to call it.
Call the function.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. What am I going to do?
I'm going to try fetching.
I'm going to try reading the catalog. So here we go. Const
all the data.
Data equals await read catalog. Okay, and then if it comes back successfully, I'm going to set my products to whatever it gave me. Okay. Why is it complaining?
Oh, looks like it's just
Oh, you called
misspelled.
them as the opposite way.
Yep. Okay, good. Okay. Now, if there's an error, I'm going to
Hello, another.
set the
Okay.
error to error.
Yeah, so other than
And then after I'm all done, I'm going to
negate
Set
the-
loading.
set is loading to false. Okay, so this is just a pattern that you can do all the time. Why
Mhm.
is this different? Oh, I called it products when I wrote it before. Also, I like to do this console dot error, the error. So if I'm debugging and I want to know what happened, I can go look in the console and I can get more details about what the error was. Okay. All right. So there we go. I've finished the loading part. Now, in theory, when I get down here, I can map my products because these will be built out. So let's go map through my products. So uncomment this. Do the map. So I'm going to get a product. Each time I'm called, I'm going to be given a single product, and I'm just going to display a product card. Product card, which doesn't exist yet. I'm going to have to create this. And I know I'm going to have to tell it the product to display this product. Okay. So, and so now that's what I'm going to do. I'm missing a parentheses here
And
and
just
here.
parentheses inside too.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, no, yeah.
Okay, so there we go. So now let me declare my product card. Function product card. Return div product card. So, so far, let me just see if it works. Oh, look at product card, product. I've got 5 product cards in there. That's good. That's encouraging. 1, 2, 3, 6 of them. Cool. So things seem to be working. So in order to get the product as a prop,
Yeah,
how do I declare a prop?
yeah, interface.
I first declare the type. We call it card props
What's the
equals.
difference between type and, well, why are you using type instead of interface? What is the benefit?
I haven't had that discussion with you yet. Let me finish this and then I'll have that discussion with you guys. Okay. My prop is going to be a product
Product type,
and it's type product. Okay. So then I put my ID structure in here to get my product and I tell it it's a type card props. So far so good.
Mhm.
Leave the semicolon there. And then now I'm going to have to figure out how to lay out my card.
Okay, each
Okay.
card now.
So I've forgotten what the cards look like. The card looks like
Price.
it has an image. Whoops, there's a
What is the
div
image?
that has a border around it. Then it has an image, title, price, short description.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to have a div around it, and then I'm going to do inside of there, I'm going to have the image
Mhm.
source equals product dot image URL. And then it was said it was the title, which I guess is going to be an H something,
Title, okay.
H5, I guess, I don't know. And I'm going to put in there product dot name. And then I'm going to put the price,
Mhm.
probably in a div.
Yeah, but you need to include the dollar from the.
Product dot price. I'll do that. Let me take a look at what it looks like just like this, so I don't have to stop and think too much.
Mm.
And then I'm going to do a P tag with the short description, product dot short description. Okay, let's try that much. See how bad it is. Go here, look. Oh, that's not bad.
It is a block, has to be inline.
But this isn't bad. I mean, I've got everything there. Cool. I'm happy. Remember, I want to do styling last. Always do the styling last. If you do the styling first, then you're probably going to end up writing a bunch of CSS that as you go in and do your detailed implementation, you're going to wait, oh, whoops, I don't really want it like this. I want it like that. And you're going to end up wasting a lot of time writing CSS that you eventually throw away. So do your interaction first and your styling last. That's a pretty general and commonly used approach to React implementations. You do the behavior first, and then you do the styling. Okay. I'm making a note here to talk about type versus interface, but I don't want to get sidetracked by it, so I'll leave that note there so I can get to it later. So some quick styling thing I'm going to want to do. I have it already set up to do Tailwind, so I'm going to use Tailwind, and I'm going to make this outer div here flex.
Yeah.
Class name equals flex. That'll be one thing.
So it's like from Tailwind, where you can manage.
Okay. No, sorry, this isn't where I want it. I put that in the wrong place. I wanted it out here, up here to wrap my card. So I need a div here. Class name equals flex. So this div has to go around that. Save. Now let's see. Oh, that's better. Okay. That's nice. Now I want these. Oh, and it should wrap. It will wrap automatically, won't it? Let's see. Now I'm going to have here my whole card. I probably want to have it have a size. So how do I do it? Probably a height, H 72. I'm just kind of guess. Well, that's not bad. Why is it not wrapping? Do I have to do flex wrap? Is that also what I do up here?
Oh, wow. So you can call it.
There we go.
We can call the class immediately and without like doing anything in CSS.
Yes, exactly. And with if you're using Tailwind, what happened to everything though? Why is everything getting wrapped? I don't know. I'm not happy spending this kind of time on this right now. I'm just trying to get it to look a little nicer. But I want to see these guys, so I'm a little flummoxed at this point. What do I do? Let's see. I got to see those things. Where did they go? Why are they? Oh, the image is too tall. So I want to put the image.
Object, you can put object.
Class name equals
object fit.
H72. Well, let's do 56. Oh, that's better. Okay, that's good enough for now. I mean, it's not great, but it's good enough for now. I'll come back and fix it up later. But I do notice that these are not dollars. They're just pennies. So I need to use $2 here, which is in the lib folder. So I've imported that already. So there we go. And oh, good. I've got dollars now.
That's nice.
I know that this product name H5 was probably the wrong choice. Let's try H3. Huh, that didn't seem to make a difference. H2.
H5, I don't know. H5.
Huh, H5.
Yeah.
Why is it not making it bold and everything? Okay, I'm not too worried about this stuff though. But you know, at this point, I've got the interaction. I mean, I've got it laying out. I'll come back and clean up the styling later. So let's move on and click on one of these guys and have it actually take me to the details page. Okay, so let's see. I want to in order to make this be a clickable, what do I want to do?
We want to wrap the whole thing in a link.
In a link. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to make the whole thing be a link. Link. Put a link around the whole thing. Is it probably the whole thing? I don't know. Maybe I could put it inside there.
I used it on line 54 instead of I used it.
Use a link instead of this div. I could probably do that as well.
because they're contained.
Yeah, okay, let me do that. Let me move this up into here. There, and then get rid of this and this. And then I have to have a 2. What's this gonna go to?
To the path
To
of
the details, but I have to put the product ID in the link, so I have to do that through a string interpolation. So I'm gonna do this, it's gonna go to /details/product ID.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so good. Let's go see what it looks like,
Why is it blue?
because they're links. And so I'm gonna have to change that so links are drawn blue, especially if I've clicked on them before.
Oh.
Okay, the browser keeps track of that.
I had
No,
to
sorry, they're blue until I've clicked on them and then they turn red. So in the browser by default will draw your links all blue. So I'm gonna have to fix that up in the
Yeah,
styling.
it happens to me, what I did, I put the div outside, so it's gonna be in the global div. So
Okay. All right, but let me worry about the styling later. Okay, and I'm gonna click. So if I click this, it should go to details
product data.
42. All right.
Mhm.
So that's good. Let me go work on the details page and then I'll come back and style it later.
Mhm.
Why do I have an error here? Import oh, that's bad. Where'd that come from? Okay. All right. Then, okay, the details page. All right. No props because it's a route page, so it can't have props.
Because we're using link.
So but I need the product ID. How am I going to get the product ID?
I'm gonna use param.
Yep, and to use params, I have to destructure. What's the name of the prop going to be?
Product ID.
Well, I go look at my route and I called it product ID. So it's going to be product ID equals use params. Excellent. Okay. So far, so good. Now I need to make my call to the back end. So I do all the same things I did before. I have my 3 states and I have my use effect so that I can get my data. I could just go copy paste it from catalog, but I want to type it all back in again to try and re-emphasize the pattern that we're going to follow. So here we go. I'm going to do my I'll do it here. Const. My state, I'm going to have a product. Set product. That's what I'm going to read from the date from the back end. Oops, not use param, use state. And it's going to be of type product.
Yeah. We can initialize it with 0 too, right? Initialize
A
it.
product can't be 0. It's not allowed.
No, so that's a number, right?
No, product is not a number. Product's an object.
Oh,
See?
oh, yeah. Oh, it's an instance. Yeah, it's an instance.
Okay. Okay. See, type product. Product is a type, so it's an object. Okay. And then I'm going to have my is loading. Set is loading equals use state. And I'm going to start out in loading. And then I'm going to have const error set error equals use state of unknown. Cool. Now I'm going to go do my if is loading, return div loading. Then I'm going to have my if error. I'm going to do, I've forgotten what it is. Sorry, I'm going to go copy paste here.
Yeah,
This one's a bit of annoying to type. So I'll paste that. Okay. Now I have to put my use state in. My use effect. And I need to put my dependency array. Okay. I'm making an asynchronous call in here, so I have to declare my stupid async function. Async function load, I just will call it load again. And then I'm going to do a try catch. Error. And finally, okay, I know that in the finally, I'm going to do set is loading to false. In the error, I'm going to log the error. And I'm going to do set error. And then in here, now I have to do my work. All right. So the work I need, I'm going to get the data equals await. And it's this time I'm going to read a single product. And you see this pops up and tells me that when I read the product, I have to provide a product ID. Well, thankfully, I already have that sitting right here. Okay. Product ID. Okay. Oh, what's the error? What's this? Argument of type string or undefined is not assignable to a parameter of type number. So read product expects a number because that's what the product ID is. It's a number. But why does it say string? It says I'm trying to pass it string or undefined. Ooh, that doesn't make sense.
Remember you made it string.
Well, hover up here on
param
product
features.
ID, use params. Every param is a string or undefined. End of story. Nothing you can do about it. Every param is either a string or an undefined. Whoa, now what am I going to do?
Going to use the type assertion.
I could do that.
Mhm.
I could do a plus.
Plus.
A plus turns a string into a number.
Wow.
But now it says, wait a minute, you can't do a plus on an undefined. Dang it. This is getting annoying. What am I going to do?
Put number.
I could do type assertions, but those are bad form. You don't use type assertions unless you have no other choice.
Oh.
There's got to be a better way to because I don't want to tell it it's a number because it's not. It's a string. I have to convert it to a string.
Do we need to structuring it to a number?
So no,
don't
you
think you
can't.
can
It's not
destructure
possible to
into a
destructure
number.
it to a number. You destructure it to whatever it is. It is what it is. Nothing
Yeah.
you can do. So what I discovered, there are lots of different ways to do this. The one that I kind of like is I'll say, if there is a product ID, then I will load and I'll do plus product ID.
Right, but expected one.
And then up here, I'm going to pass in the product ID number like that. So this is an approach I like to use.
Because because the load function has a parameter now that's going to be the product ID, which is going to be
Yeah.
a number. So the async function converts it.
Okay, yes, so there's two reasons for doing this. Number one, when this use effect first runs, product ID might be undefined. Shouldn't be, should always be defined. But I'm just going to check and make sure it's defined. Actually, the reason I'm doing this is I'm telling TypeScript, I'm pretty sure it's going to be defined.
Oh.
So TypeScript now inside of here, it says if product ID, TypeScript says, oh, now I know that product ID is defined in here. So I've told TypeScript that only call that make this call if product ID is defined. So it knows product ID is defined. Now I can put the plus on it and change it to a number. Okay, so that's why I do it this way. It's just trying to keep
Logical.
TypeScript happy. There are times where you have to write extra code just to keep TypeScript happy. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way the language goes. So I'm just doing this. I just put it in an if statement here just to keep TypeScript happy. There are other ways you could do that.
You did it in the ternary.
Yeah, another thing that I've done before is you could do, instead of this approach, I've done this. I say, if not product ID, throw new error. This should never happen. Okay, so you can do that way as well. So sometimes I do that, sometimes I do the other, so on. That looks kind of ugly to me, so I'm going to change it to what I had before with the if statement or around it. Okay, doesn't much matter. All right, now, I forgot to do the set data. It's not set data. I want set product for the data. Okay. All right. And how did I know I had to do that? Because this had an error and it said it's assigned but never used. Oh, I need to use it, right? I mean, it's the reason I read it so I could do something with it. So then that's what keyed me in that, oh, I'd forgotten to write the rest of the code. So I'm gonna use it, okay? All right, now I see there is a problem still. I have a warning here. What's this warning? What's that warning right there? I'm not gonna hover over it. You tell me first, what's this warning?
We're missing dependency.
Excellent, we are missing dependencies. What one is it? I mean, if I hover, it'll tell me, but I'm gonna make you figure it out. What is it?
It's the product ID probably, isn't it?
No, it's a data.
Product ID.
No, data.
That's not data, because data is
Yeah.
used there,
Product
okay?
ID.
So it's product ID. All right, now we're happy, good. Now, inside of the product details, let me at least just for now, just put the product dot name.
Can I even ask for this?
Okay, it's giving me a complaint. It's saying product is possibly undefined, so I'm gonna just do a question mark like that, okay?
Can I ask for-
Yeah,
Well, what happened if we don't use dependency, if they leave it like this? Well, when you run the code.
what do you mean you don't, oh, don't put the dependency in there?
Yeah, well, what?
Then it won't run as often as it should. So you'll get into situations where you do things and it doesn't update. So you want this use, remember, this use effect runs if the product ID changes. So for example, if somebody comes to the page and the page is already loaded and they give me a different product ID, it won't refresh and reload that product. So that's what will happen. Okay, so I should be able to go back and have it display the name of the product. ShamWow, yay! So I think if I do 44, enter, see it still won't, no, that one it reran because of React router. But if you don't do the dependencies in general, you'll end up
And we passed in the dependency
with
here,
it not updating like it's supposed to. What?
and we had passed in the product ID as a dependency here because it is a prop.
No, because it's used right here.
But if we used type assertion, it'd be on line 14.
Yes, but it's inside this function. It's used inside this function.
And it's the main carrier of the function, like that's the main thing we want to get out of that read product. That's why we're using it as a dependency.
We need the product ID so that we know which product to read.
Right,
Okay,
yeah,
and so remember the dependency array, you first go through and you figure out everything that goes in your backpack. And decide which of those things should go into your dependency array. So if I look at this entire function, everything in here, let's do this quickly. This product ID up here, is that declared inside or outside of this use effect function?
outside.
Wrong.
It's a local, it's inside.
It's
the
local, it's a parameter, so it's
Yeah.
declared locally inside. This product ID is inside, that one's not. Okay, this product is product ID is a parameter. Let's go here. Data, inside or outside? Inside, it's declared right there. Read product, inside or outside?
Outside.
Outside. Does it go in my dependency array? Doesn't have to because it's imported. Anything you import is going to stay constant, so you don't have to put it in your dependency array. How about this product ID?
We are getting it from someone.
No, that's the prop.
That's fine.
No, that's not the prop. It's this one.
Well, that's what I meant.
It's the parameter.
Oh, the parameter.
This is the parameter here, so this is not a dependency. How about set product? Is that a dependency?
No,
It's outside.
it is, but it's
It's
outside.
okay,
and
let me
those never
rephrase.
changes.
It's declared outside, but it's a state setter, so I don't have to put it in my dependency array. How about data?
No,
Right there, okay? How about error? It's a
Outside.
parameter, so it's inside. Console is outside, but it's a constant, global constant. Set error
is a state
It's
setter.
is
function
outside,
which
but
never
it's a state
changes.
setter. How about this error?
It's a parameter.
It's parameter declared on line 16. Okay, so I don't need to worry about it. How about set is loading?
The same as. the-
Outside, but it's a state setter, false. So if product ID, where's this product ID defined?
It's coming from line 6,
It's a different
actually.
color.
It's a
this one
different
up
type
here.
of
Yeah,
product ID.
it's
It's a
line
different
6.
object.
So it is declared outside. And so, and it's not a state setter, so it is a dependency and has to go in my dependency array.
It's a different color.
Okay. How about load?
It is inside. It is
Declared
a
right
color.
here, so it's inside the function, so it's not a dependency. And this product ID is the same as that one, which is the same as that one, which goes in my dependency array. Okay,
Excuse me.
that's how you figure out what goes in the dependency array. Yes,
Is it what is inside the dependency array? Like we have, this is what the use effect remember, right? We can,
Yeah,
this is stuff
yep.
we remember. every
yeah,
time.
if this dependency array's values change, then the use effect will run again.
Keep remembering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Remember. So forcing.
Okay, so here we go. All right, so now I just need to figure out how to display the product. I have a div. Let me see. What is it supposed to look like? I don't want to spend too much time on this. Hurry and click. It has an image and a title. It basically has image, title, short description, long description. So let me just do this. I'm gonna have the div. I'm not actually gonna do any of the styling. I'm just gonna, when I'm done, I'm gonna say I'm done. The styling is an exercise left to the student.
We can do a copy paste, or I can take the one in the catalog and copy paste it. Right?
I could start with that. Yep.
Oh, that's it.
Okay, I can, but it's not quite perfect. There's no link, for example, but I can take that stuff and I can do this, and there's also a long description.
Even for the link, we can use use the same one, but go back to catalog.
Okay, where's product? Oh, these are all, yeah, you know what? The other thing I like to do is I like to say if we're loading or there's no product. If there's not a product, then we're still loading. And then this tells TypeScript to shut up and stop complaining about these guys. So if there's no product, I don't have to worry about this. I'm gonna go here, and TypeScript knows that, so it'll stop complaining about these being possibly undefined. That's just a little trick I learned. Don't worry too much about it. You could just put question marks on all of those if you want.
I'm gonna make it.
Okay, so here we go. We go back and we got everything. Okay. Along with the long description.
Can I go back to?
Yeah, that's right.
So-
It's supposed to have the back. That goes
Just copy paste.
here. Link 2 equals slash back to catalog. And I think I did a less than in here. Whoa, I didn't like that. And LT like that. Okay,
In space. What?
there, I got the little back to catalog.
What is
there.
the?
LT. So ampersand, something, semicolon is a special character. How you insert special characters in there. If I put the left angle bracket, then it thinks it's the beginning of a tag, so I can't do that. So LT stands for less than, so the ampersand LT semicolon is a less than symbol. RT is a greater than symbol.
You're using ampersand to get the address of something, right? So
No, it's just an indicator that says if there's an ampersand with some letters and a semicolon, it knows that this is a special character. That's just I don't know. I think that's JSX that does that. Okay, yes.
I wanted to ask about the product ID again.
Yes.
I just want to confirm that the product ID, we are basically comparing two product IDs, one which is in the use param object for product ID from line 6, which we will get from the URL, which is going to create an object.
Yes.
And then we are comparing that to the product ID of that actual product. That's correct.
Comparing it. No, there's no comparison anywhere that I see.
No, but so the product ID on line 6 from use params.
Is the same as this one on line 23.
Yes, and what's the difference between those And the one on line 14.
Okay, let me do this. Does that make it more understandable?
Yeah.
This was a parameter. And I give it any name I want. I happen to choose product ID. And this, remember when I said product ID here, it goes and finds the closest one. It doesn't go to the one up here.
I know, but it's going to go to the
It's gonna
read
go,
product.
this is gonna be that function parameter, ID, the function parameter right here.
Uh-huh.
So that's the ID there. So now to figure out what its value is, you have to figure out where it's called. Well, it's called down here, and we're passing in the product ID from this use params. So I get the use params 14 as a string. I come here, I say if it's truthy, since it's a string with stuff in it, it will be. So then I'm going to call load, and I'm going to do the plus, which converts that string 14 into the number 14. Then it calls load, passing it the argument 14. That 14 then gets assigned to this parameter ID, and then that ID gets passed into read product.
Oh, so we are not actually getting the product ID from the read TS folder.
Correct. We never get the product ID out of there. The only things we get out of the read TS folder are read product, $2, and the type product.
So the use params is creating basically a new product ID from the URL.
Yes, so use params returns an object that has a field in it named product ID, and its value is what's in the URL. And so I destructure it and I create a variable named product ID, and its value is whatever was use params had. Okay, so it will have the value of what was in the URL.
Oh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I have like a couple questions. So in line 12, ID number, it's local, it's pretty much declaring a new ID inside the as parameter, right? This is why
It's
it's local.
declaring a local variable named
Local
ID.
variable. And the other question, I notice it's a different color, so you see like it matched the colors. Is this, you said like if it's close to it, it's in the same scope when you.
VS Code does coloring to try and help you as the developer figure out where things are. Don't rely on it.
So line 22 to line 12, the ID, it's inside the scope of the function.
Yes.
And line 23, this is why
Yes,
it's in
this is the
outside the
light blue
scope.
up there. It's the same color as that one, so you can tell that they're the same thing.
So it's an outside the
Yeah,
scope. so
this
it's
one and
different
this one are
than-
the same color, so you can tell they're the same thing. This is referring to that.
And it's in the same scope, right? In the same function scope.
This ID is in the scope. These two are in the same function scope. In the scope of the load function.
But line 23.
This
is
one,
outside
product
the scope.
ID, is not in the scope of this function. It's in there. It's up there.
This is, oh wow, this is.
Okay.
So the product ID from use params is basically just helping us use for routing.
Well, routing, it's yes, but yes, it's in the URL, and we use that for routing. And then when we get here, we have to know what ID is in the URL. And so we get it out of the URL. Use param says get it out of the URL. So now this holds what was in the URL, and it said 14. So okay, that says the path details /14 says display the details page for product 14. Okay, so we got out of here 14, then we use that when we called read product, we want to pass it to 14. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. The last thing I want to do here is I want to put a button in, which is button type equals button. No, you can't do an on submit because there's no form.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna do on click equals handle state cart handle add. And it's gonna say add to cart. So now let me go up here and create the handle, the the function handle add. And what I want to do here is I want to do an alert, adding, oops, string interpolation, adding. I'm going to do the product dot name or added, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to navigate. I want to navigate to navigate to navigate to slash. Well, I don't have navigate defined. Where do I get navigate?
You have to on the top of the page.
Okay, so I just do put it here. You const navigate equals use navigate.
Not gonna work.
Why?
It's
If it's a use.
It's a
It's a
hook.
hook, so it has to be up at the top, right? It has to be up at the top. So it has to be up here with all my other hooks. Okay. So now I go back here, I hit add to cart, and boom. Okay, I'm back to the catalog page.
Gosh, it's so ugly.
Pardon?
It's
So
kind of-
ugly? Yeah, it is. It's your job to clean it up. Okay, I'm not gonna take the time to clean it up. Sorry, we've got to move on. Sorry, 3 o'clock. Okay, so there we go. That's the catalog, that's the exercise.
It's a really good.
Okay, all right. This is recorded, so you can go back and watch it if you need to. The next one we're gonna do is the app drawer. So I'm gonna keep the recording going so we can get a little bit of information on the app drawer. So the app drawer, what we're gonna do with the app drawer is we're gonna you start with the solution that I just wrote for you. Okay, you start with the React catalog solution, and I give you in the starting files that you have the instructor solution to the app catalog or to the React catalog. So now you know you have the solution for this if you need it. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, remember the React catalog we just did has a header along the top. Do you remember what draws that header along the top?
The parent.
Yeah, it's in your route and it's
Yeah.
called the header.
Header.
So now we're going to replace that header. Instead of using that header across the top, we're going to rewrite it to do a drawer. To do a side navigation. Okay. And the way we want this side navigation to work is it has a little hamburger icon. And then the drawer is either open or closed. When it's closed, all you see is the icons, this, and this icon. And if it's open, then you see all of this stuff. Okay. And now if it's open and you click one of these guys, so you click that, you navigate to the about page. You click that, you navigate to the catalog page, and so on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take that header that was up across the top, and we're going to put it down the side and make it a drawer. It opens and closes. Okay. The hardest part for me about this one is the CSS.
Yeah.
The instructions say if you have trouble with the CSS, ask your instructor. So what I'm going to do though is preemptively fix this for you, and I'm going to Slack you the CSS that I use in the solution. Okay.
That's what I.
The CSS is so complicated in React.
No, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. You just say class name equals and the name of the class. The only thing you have to remember is that you have to import the CSS file. That's the only thing you have to remember. Other than that, it's just classes.
It's not because I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I just want to know.
I think you're saying it's confusing because of Tailwind.
Yeah, the tailwind.
Yes, if you don't know Tailwind, then what we're doing in this exercise has been a little
Actually,
confusing.
tailwind is really.
Okay, so the Tailwind's really nice. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do. Okay. So that's it. That's the next exercise. I have to do the Q&A for this first thing in the morning. I might give you till a half an hour or so, but we have to be done with all of the exercises tomorrow so that we can do the pair programming on Monday.
Pair programming, what is this?
That you're going to convert the code journal to React. Okay, we're doing that on Monday. We have to do that on Monday or we'll get too far behind. So I need to do this one first thing in the morning. You got 2 hours right now. That should be enough to do this. But what I suggest for how you do this exercise, you're going to start with this solution that I've got here. Essentially, you're going to start with this. So the only thing you have to change in this exercise is the header.
Is it side nav? Side nav?
I call it app drawer because that's the name of what the exercise calls it. It's an app drawer. So what you want to do is you want to take this file right here, copy paste it, and call it app drawer. Then go into app TSX and change this from header to app drawer. Okay. Then go into your app. You don't have to keep them both, but I think it's nicer to keep them both because you can then switch back and forth if things get confusing. But so that's what I did when I did it myself. I just
So you made a
took
copy
this.
of the
I just
header.
did. You just do copy and then paste right there. Now I have a copy of it. Rename it to app drawer like that, and then go in here, rename it to app drawer, and then you're done. And then you start implementing. Okay, and then you go into the app TSX and change this from header to app drawer. And then you're ready to go. Then start implementing it. And that's it. So you'll do like everything you do is going to be in that app drawer file. So you're just going to have to fix that up to make it look like a thing on the left instead of here. Remember that outlet is where your main your main content's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still going to have these links. You can have links to these guys, but they're going to have an icon on them. And somehow you're going to have to figure out the CSS to make this draw on the left instead of the top. There you go.
Do we need to like if we submit it without making the CSS that good? Does it matter? Or do we...
It needs to open and close and have the right React behavior. Other than that, I don't care.
And
okay.
So just question the nav, is there like a semantic called side nav to make it go to the side? That's what I heard.
I don't know.
So put it automatically.
There's not an HTML element that does that. You have to implement it yourself. There's not a side nav HTML element. Does not exist. Okay. So that's it. There is one last thing I want to talk about because I made a note, and that is to talk about what is the difference between type and interface. So I'm done with all of the exercise, the Q&A, and the lead off for what you're doing now. And let me just take just a couple minutes. Type versus interface. Interface and type can both be used to declare objects. Okay, so here we have in the read. No, where is it? Here's my type product right here. Okay, so type and interface can both be used to create objects. I don't know, well, I do know why TypeScript invented two of them. It's historical. The fact that there are two of them is a historical mistake or a historical accident. They started with interface, realized that they needed more power and capability, and so they invented type. And then there's this big argument started up as to what do you use, interface or do you use type? And the TypeScript community pretty quickly shifted completely over to type. And then for reasons that are completely beyond my understanding, the TypeScript documentation shifted back to interface. And so when I first converted this class over from JavaScript to TypeScript, type was what was in the documentation everywhere. Then I was going and I was getting it ready to get done. And I was comparing it to the documentation and I saw that they had changed it to interface. But so we went on the junior side, we changed everything to interface so that it would match the instructions. Type is more powerful than interface. There's a lot of things you can do with type that you cannot do with interface. And so I and many other developers think that you should never use interface. You should only use type. So that's what I've done in here. I'm only using type because type is a more powerful construct. There are a lot of things you can do with type that you cannot do with interface. And if you're interested in that, go look it up. But that's all we're doing. I would say 80 to 90% of the TypeScript code I read says type. I almost never see interface. There is one situation in which you have to use interface, and it's almost never needed. So I just use type everywhere, and that's it. So it's just a historical accident. I don't know why TypeScript shifted from type back to interface in their documentation. I suspect there was some religious battle going on at Microsoft as to which was the right way to go. And for a brief period of time, the interface people won. If you go look at their site now, it still uses interface. It used to say, type, do I use type or do I use interface? It used to say, if you need the power of type, use type, otherwise use interface. And now it says, it's really up to you. As a heuristic, maybe you should start with interface, and if you need type, then switch it to type. So well, that's stupid. Just start with type. So everything we're doing is type. But type and interface, almost everything we do in class, you could do interface instead of type. There's very few places where we're going to need in the LFC we're doing where you're going to need type. So if you really feel strongly that you want interface,
It's saying,
do it. I won't care.
it says here that if you hover over the following errors, that interface will give you a better error message.
Ah,
Then
okay. That's actually probably true. Okay, it's pretty minimal advantage.
Is it type? Is it more
then-
semantic? It's saying it's type something.
That's what I think. It's telling me it's type.
Semantic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I find it.
Oh,
Anyway, I don't want to spend time.
Question.
Yeah, I don't want to spend time arguing about this. I'm just telling you, we're using type here because I think it's the better choice.
I
That's
just
all there
wanted
is to it, yeah.
Clarify, sorry. So why do route pages not have props again? Just
By what,
why do
routing pages?
routing pages not have props
Okay,
again?
all right. Why do they not have props? I'll just do that one. So for example, it would be really nice, wouldn't it, to be able to say product details, product equals product, or product ID equals some product ID,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Some ID. Well, where am I going to get this ID? I don't know. There's nothing I can do. I can't put it in state. I can't do anything like that, not at least not easily.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, it's in the route. It's in the URL.
Oh,
So I don't have access to the URL right here when I'm doing my routing. I can't
okay.
use params right here.
So
So it's
basically,
like-
because things are stuck in the routes.
Yeah, it's because I'm putting stuff in the route. So instead of them being in the routes, sorry, they're in the routes, therefore I can't pass them in as props.
I see.
And so because of that, you almost never, there are a few cases, but you almost never have props for route components. Just for these ones. These ones here don't have
No.
props. Everything
Okay.
else should.
Okay.
Everything else should. It's just these ones don't usually have props
Okay.
because there's no way to really use them.
Mm.
Unless they're hard coded. So maybe
Yeah.
you could, I've seen that.
I have
But-
seen like something Best Buy website if you go, they have 2 bars above each other. It's kind of, even like an Office, they have Microsoft Office, they have 3 bars